If I was to tell you that I have played and enjoyed a small box trick-taking game, and to say, oh, but this one does something a little bit differently, there's a good chance that you would understandably say, gravy, another one. And then you probably try and pull off my face because you think it's a mask and I'm Tom in disguise, but it's not a mask, it's my face. And yet here we are. This is 3 Chapters, a card game of mashed up fairy tales that is split across 3 different phases. In the first part of the game, you're all going to draft a deck of cards, passing cards around in a circle and taking one at a time, adding them to your personal little collection. It's then that things get a little bit fiddly, because you're going to effectively score that set of cards that you build twice. At the very end of the game, you're just going to lay out all the cards you have and look for the synergies that you've built during the drafting. But prior to that, you're going to be using that deck of cards that you drafted to play a trick-taking game, scoring points again in a way that is similar to the way that you do at the end of the game, but not exactly the same. Now, if that sounded a little bit fiddly, that's because it is. But don't worry, we'll come back to that aspect of the game a little bit later. For now, just look at these lovely pictures. Bright colours, faces. And so broadly, this is a game in which you'll be trying to get the characters on these cards to interact with one another in ways that provide you with 3 different flavours of points. And gosh, isn't this just the proof in the pudding that gorgeous components don't need to be chunky? A brief interjection now from my luxury Seaview office. It turns out that not all versions of this game are the same. These wooden tokens are a big part of my enjoyment of this game, and in the Amigo version in the US, they appear to be cardboard rather than wood, and that does impact how much I like the game. Just something you need to know about. Look up pictures before you buy things. These slim and brightly coloured wooden shapes are an absolute delight, and they serve the game just perfectly. You got green gems, worth half a point at the end of the game. Hearts, worth double that. And finally, the real star of the show, it's stars. Oh, these will get you 2 points. And here was me thinking that stars were 5 points. Comedy drum roll, please. Oh, yeah, I forgot we had to let our comedy drum roll guy go. The illustrations here are an absolute delight, swinging between cute and gently horrible, in all the ways that fairy tales should. And on paper, this game is honestly very simple to play. There are no suits of cards or trumps or even special rules for following on from each round's initial starting player. And if that sentence really didn't mean much to you because you're just not familiar with trick-taking games, then don't worry, because here, it doesn't flippin' matter. You've just got numbers. Higher numbers are better. And low is bad. Check it out, mother. I done listened at school. After everyone playing has played a card to the table in order, whoever played the highest card wins that trick and gets a delightful little star worth 2 points. They also get to play the first card in the next round, which sounds really good, but sometimes it isn't. And if you're newer to games, this may have piqued your interest, but if you play an awful lot of card games, then I know what you're thinking, in the words of Beauty and the Beast. This just isn't spicy enough for my interests, Mr. Beast. Well, hold on a darn minute. Why don't you just look at these symbols? And obviously there's also words in a box on the bottom of most of these cards. You probably didn't notice that, did you? And that's because most of these cards also have abilities. Yes, Goldilocks, not a great card, a value of 5. There's only 4 cards lower than that. Odds are bad, but she gets bonus points if she turns up at the same time as bears. And so while I don't want to underplay the value of stars, as I said earlier, they're worth 2 points. That's unthinkable. You might not always be playing to try to win tricks. There's so many other ways that you can be getting points by playing lower cards. For example, if I can play Pinocchio in the same round that somebody has already played Geppetto, officially the world's loneliest lad, get yourself a family that's not made of wood, you loser. Well, in that example, the player who put down Pinocchio is going to get themselves 3 hearts. That's more points than you get for winning the trick. And the player who put down Geppetto is going to get nothing, which honestly doesn't seem fair because it isn't fair. Equally toothy here is the combination of the princess and the dragon. The player who put the princess into play gets loads of stuff, while the poor old dragon gets absolutely nothing, apart from having the highest card value in the game and the ability, therefore, to destroy absolutely anything. Some of these precise combinations are more generous. Tweedledum and Tweedledee both get a little something for turning up at the same time, and Hansel and Gretel would probably do well sticking together. That's advice within the game, but also just broader advice for Hansel and Gretel. If you are watching, actually, I'd recommend maybe you could use some of these little airtight containers and geocache some breadcrumbs instead. Some of the scoring criteria in this game is pretty explicit in terms of matching up X character with Y character to make A, B, C, D do. But there's some lovely loosey-goosey options around here too. Snow White benefits from being around dwarves, just broadly. And Peter Pan thrives, points-wise, when surrounded by lots and lots of children. The Witch is also quite keen to get her hands on as many children as possible, but I think that's different. She did keep mentioning soup. She said it like that as well. Soup! And so a lot of the cards in this game individually feel like a bit of a puzzle. Should you play them early, when you've got a chance of winning tricks, or should you hold on to them, even though those cards aren't great, in the hope that you can activate some kind of Hansel and Gretel bone broth bonus? The complication here, though, is you're never really playing with the full deck of cards. And even if you saw, the Geppetto to your Pocono, Pinocchio Pocono, we'll just go with it. Even if you saw that card in the initial drafting phase, there's no promising that one of the players at the end didn't go, nah, Geppetto, going in the bin. It's a lovely little flow. Everyone is kind of holding off, not wanting to do anything, which in a game where you're having to play a card every turn it feels bad, but in a way that feels good. And the way that these cards interact, it creates some really nice textural wiggle room. I'd never say that you're actually actively cooperating with other players in this game, although I'm sure Tom would find a way to do that because he finds a way to do that in every single game we play. But there's definitely some coaxing. Playing things out and just asking if the universe is interested. I'm gonna put that in there. The Queen of Hearts, for example, is a powerful card that does very well out of being played in the same hand of cards as Alice. But Alice does get some decent stuff for being in that hand of cards too, which means you could open with the Queen of Hearts and it's possible that someone else will go, you know what? Yeah, you can have it. So it's a simple card game of playing cards to try and win tricks or playing cards in a way that means you're activating the special bonuses that get you other points. That's not that complicated, that's quite nice, but as I mentioned at the start of this video, this part of the game is just the middle section, and it's capped off with a beginning and an end, neither of which are terribly complicated on their own, but when you put it all together, it's a pretty fiddly sandwich. Firstly, as is the case in lots of, this is a really good card game, isn't it? You don't actually see the shape of what a game of 3 chapters looks like. You don't really get the game until you're about halfway, 2/3 of the way through the first game that you're playing. And so because of that, it's not 100% ideal that you start the game by drafting cards, passing around cards you've not seen before, and trying to make decisions based on a game that you don't really know yet. However, this is one of the parts of the game where actually the theme does a bit of tasty heavy lifting here, I think. It means, yes, you've got to draft cards. Yes, you don't entirely understand the shape of the game, but you can just say to people, listen, take cards that have high numbers, they're good, or just pick characters that you know are in the same fairy tales. By using characters from these really broadly reaching universal stories, it means, you don't really have to know what's going on. You just know that princess, she wants the dwarves. Just get them all together. That came out badly, delete that. Okay, I don't know exactly what I'm doing yet, but I know that card and that card kind of go together. If you do that, you will get points. But while this does help, this is a game that when you play it with new people, it kind of stumbles at the beginning every time. There's no clean way to explain it. The fact that you have these 3 different parts of the game, people can't really keep them all in their head at the same time. The implications of them all slotting together, you've just got to jump in and play. And it even stumbles a little bit when you're playing with people who play a lot of games, because it's odd. Like, even the way that in a round, you're all going to play a card to the center of the table as part of the trick-taking thing, and then, I won the trick. What happens next? I take those cards. No. No, you don't. We leave those cards there, we work out who got what points because of the powers that activated, and then everyone takes their own card back into their personal discard because those cards are going to score again for that player at the end of the game. And while most of these cards will score in the trick-taking phase and the kind of tableau building, point scoring phase at the end of the game as well, some of them only score in the second phase or the third phase. It's just all slightly fiddly in a way which takes a little while to get your teeth through the cogs, to get chewing into the sandwich. I've been eating some weird sandwiches. So overall, for a game that is packed full of whimsy and gnomes, 3 Chapters is a game that requires a little more hovering rules arbitration than is, strictly speaking, ideal. But listen, just like when you get lost in the woods and then you find a house that's entirely made of sweeties and candies. Initially that's confusing. I don't know. But after a little while, you have to accept, I think this is magic. There's magic involved here. This is magic. That's right, suckers. I built you a carriage, I turned it into a pumpkin, and now I'm turning it back into a carriage again. And gosh, it's beautiful. The fiddliness here is justified. The juice is worth the squeeze. You realize that the reason we have all these point tokens is just to ensure that the game doesn't get bogged down in keeping track of scoring in the middle of the rounds. They're fast and breezy and easy to distribute. You don't need to worry about what they're worth just yet. Count it up later. The game rolls on. At the start of the game, you want to collect all of the characters that work perfectly for you. So it doesn't matter what happens in the trick-taking bit, you get loads of points at the end. But here's the beautiful part. You're gonna get greedy. You want to be winning the trick-taking too. And so trying to assemble a hand of cards that allows you to have your cake and eat it is fabulous. It is such a beautiful engine for horrible folly. Because when you're drafting at the start of the game, you get past some cards and hey look, it's Beauty. I've already taken the Beast, so I should take Beauty as well. Except it's only got a points value of 20, and I could take Captain Hook instead. He's a sweet 38. Come at me, brother. So I'll just pass these other cards around the table a bit further. I'm sure that the Beauty will come back to me. They always do. They always do. Where is she? Where is she? Where is she? Oh dear. Now maybe another player has taken that card and you'll get your chance to swipe in there with the Beast and get those bonus points. But maybe Beauty's in the bin and you'll wait the rest of the game waiting for a princess who turns out is in the bin. They always say they're in the bin or washing their hair. I'm sorry, I can't come out tonight. I'm in the bin with my hair. And once you find the flow and you get a feel for what a game of this looks like, this is just such a textbook great card game. I mean, there are only 50 cards. And the thing is, it doesn't take you like a game, 2 games before you've seen all of them. And suddenly this possibility space is blown open and you start playing wheels within wheels and you suspect that a player's trying to just get all the lowest cards because they want to score big for doing something weird with really low numbers. Let's stop them. As you can probably tell by this point, I really like this game. However, there is one caveat that I'd like to make, and I think it's quite an important one. This game plays 2 to 6 people, but I don't think it's that good with 2. Now, usually, with card games or little games like this, they thrive at 2. This one, I don't think it does. It requires that you basically draft for 2 other kind of zombie players in the middle, so you have an understanding of what other cards are going to be drawn and played as part of the trick-taking thing, but you don't know when because they get shuffled. I wouldn't recommend it. It says 2, but this shines 3 and up. Once everyone at the table has got a feel for the shape of the game and they're used to the idiosyncrasies and the slight oddities of how it plays out, 3 Chapters just shines as a card game in a very card game way. You know, classic card game. Such rich opportunities for hubris, such wonderful spaces to play with in terms of I'm trying to do a thing and I hope that other people don't realize the thing that I'm trying to do. And you know what? They will. Because the final advantage of the theming of this is the characters are all really memorable. You don't have to worry about lore, etc. People know what these things are. And therefore, when a meta develops within your playgroup, which it will, it's so easy to create your own silly little stories and make jokes about things and make jokes about the fact that Beauty always ends up in the bin. Beauty in the bin. I haven't run it past Tom yet because I haven't had a chance to play it with him. I think he'd really like it, but there's a chance that he'll be fuming mad with me and say, "It's not that good a trick-taking game, and I am the czar of the trick-takers. I will have your head for this, young Lees." In which case, yeah, I don't know, listen to this Shut Up and Sit Down podcast, and at some point we'll probably have that conversation. It'll go one of two ways, and if I end up losing my head, then you know which way it went it. Otherwise, be sure to check out our other reviews of some brilliant trick-takers. They appear all the time. It's a popular genre, but you know what? It's good. It's good. And woof bang pal, what a beautiful review video time I've had. A fantastic introduction, a satisfying middle, and now for the juicy finale, the ending of the video.